Yo, what's going on, good people? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. Coming at you with my Noble Knight deck profile to you today. I actually have never done Noble Knights on this channel. And what I wanted to do to test this build, just to prove it, because I was actually, when I got it and I was doing solitaire hands and playing it against my other decks, every time I want to see if a deck's good, I take out my Heralds and I test it. And if it can even keep up with them or fend for itself for a little while, I feel like it's good. And if the deck can hang with Heralds, it's good to me because that deck's amazing. So to prove it, because I was so hyped about it, I was like, no, if I do the deck profile on the build right now, even though I've like tested it, the people are just going to say you're overhyping a bad deck like they always do. So I was like, how about this? We go to our locals, because our locals is full of meta heads. There's a lot of people that love playing meta. And in fact, there's so many Thunder Dragons. There's more Thunder Dragon players at that locals than anything. There's like 2 Sky Striker players. There's literally two Sky Strikers, 2 Alter Guys players. And there's like 5 Thunder Dragon players. And then you have like 2 Draco players, a Train player. There's a couple Blue Eyes Chaos Max. There's some Rogue, but it's a lot of meta. And that's why I took it. So I went undefeated at this past, it's Sunday, so it's a new week. So last week I went undefeated on Thursday. It was only 4 rounds, so it's just a locals, you know, it's not like anything super impressive. It's not to say, oh my god, this deck's just going to win every single YCS this year. But I really wanted to showcase the list because I thought the deck was really awesome. And Noble Knights do have potential. I believe in them. In fact, any deck that I showcase you guys on the channel, understand that I believe in it not because of speculation. I believe in it because I know what it can do, because I've seen it done in my hands. I've done it myself. So when I say what a deck can do, it's because I've done it, not because I think it can do or because it's possible, because it literally has happened. So let's go ahead and get into the list, you guys. This is Noble Knights. All right. So we're going to start off with 3 copies of Merlin. Now, I know a lot of Noble Knight players are pretty skeptical on Merlin. You know, there's a restriction that you put yourself under once you resolve Merlin, which is just Noble Knights. But the best turn 1 plays normally are the 1-card combos. And other than Madral, the other 1-card combos do put you under only Noble Knights for the turn. So you have to sacrifice the option for versatile and generic plays that you can make and the turns of the board you can build to make more optimal plays by generating advantage off of 1- and 2-card combos, which you basically, to make your deck more consistent by playing more of the 1-card enablers, you put yourself under more of the restrictions where turn 1 you can only summon Noble Knights. So it sucks, but at the same time, I'd rather have a more consistent deck than make my deck less consistent just so I can play under generic rank 4s and stuff like that. So Merlin's a really good starter card, and you're going to capitalize on a lot of advantage once you resolve 1 Merlin. It's going to get you really far. And if you guys are like new to Noble Knights, Merlin is going to attribute itself in special Noble Knight from the deck. So he's like your Lone Fire or your tour guide, I guess you could say. Whatever you want to call him. He has a great graveyard effect to banish him, and you can immediately, as a quick effect, XYZ summon or Synchro summon using Noble Knight monsters you control. What's amazing about that is the fact that you can literally summon your XYZ guys on your opponent's turn and get the equips back from your graveyard to them and protect them, and that can help you to chunk block from getting OTK'd. And that happened where I literally used Merlin at the start of the battle phase, because it's actually a quick effect. If you look in the look at his effect in the graveyard, it says quick effect in parentheses for both effects. The start of battle phase, I just summoned XYZ summoned into Cussinen. Cussinen got killed. Cussinen's effect floated, and I floated into my rank 5 dude, used his effect, got 3 equips, and I put on Excalibur and Noble Arms and Gallatin, and that was just nuts. Like, I just survived that whole turn because of Merlin. So Merlin's a really powerful card, you guys. Don't sleep on it. It's really good. And then next up, another really great starter card. The reason why I feel Madral is just a better starter card than Ivan, even though I love him because he has my name, is because he does not put you under a restriction where you can only summon Noble Knights. There's nothing on the card that says for the rest of the turn you can only summon Noble Knights. So when you resolve Madral, you can do whatever you want. Madral is how you do the Summon Sorceress combo. You can't do it with Ivan because Summon Sorceress is not a Noble Knight. It's very simple. So Madral is actually the best starter card for the simple fact that any board you want to make, you can make it with Madral without worrying of the restriction of only being able to end on Noble Knights. So Madral is a really powerful starter card. He's one of the OG classics. They are normal monsters on the field until they get equipped. They'll gain a level, and their attribute will be modified into a dark attribute, which is really cool. So yeah, Madral is going to special summon a Noble Knight from your deck if you control no other monsters. That's if he's equipped with the Noble Arms. Now, there's a way you can kind of protect yourself from impermanence and Valor. If you equip an Excalibur into him, he won't be able to be targeted, so they have to Ash Blossom him. But the other strong play, which we're actually maximizing, as you can see, these 9 cards are all practically pseudo 1-card combos, but they're technically 2-card combos because you need an equip. So these plus an equip is going to be like a full combo for you. And Ivan, what he does is he generates a Noble Knight token if he's equipped. Now, if you equip him with Excalibur and your opponent cannot stop that play unless they have a Gamma. Gamma would be the only interaction that would stop it because Valor can't target him because he can't be targeted and Permanence can't do it. Can't be Ash Blossoms because he's not summoning anywhere from the deck. He's just special summoning a token. So he's the safest way to start the play. But the reason why Madral is still better than him is because there's no restriction. And also Madral generates you more advantage in the long run because you get a cumulative advantage off of boars. And boars will give you follow-ups in your graveyard, which allows you to go for pushes even if your hand was bad in the first place. The Until Noble Arms are needed again. That card's going to give you follow-ups and more interactions on your opponent's turn with Dristan and Morgan negating and popping and just doing some really cool stuff. But we have 3 copies of Ivan. So all 9 of these cards are extremely relevant. You need to open the combo. Noble Knights will immediately fall apart if you can't make Isold. Like Isold, it... Oh, God forbid I commit the grave sin of playing Isold in her own deck, right? But Isold is the bread and butter play of the deck. If you can't make Isold, I would highly recommend that you just summon a Cussinin and let the Cussinin flow into one of your kings, one of your Arturguses, then use their effect to get the equips and then sit on them. Don't ever just go straight up into a king and get the equip spells from the grave to them. It's a smarter play to go into Cussinin so that way you can chunk block, because if you're under the restriction of only Noble Knights, none of the Noble Knights have effects that can activate on your opponent's turn to interrupt their plays. So you kind of literally have to sit on them and let them use their abilities to protect you from being OTK'd. And then next up, we play 3 copies of Cussinin. Cussinin is almost better than Ivan for the simple fact that he gives you a similar play that Ivan gets, but also gives you a double summon for Noble Knights that turn, and he lets you chain block. When you make Isold using him, you can put him as Chainlink 2 and Isold as Chainlink 1, and if they don't have a Valor and Permanence, you can use Isold's effect to search, which I use that a lot because it gives me my follow-ups for next turn, and then you get a double summon for, obviously not what you search off Isold, but for a Noble Knight that turn, which is nuts. So just the fact that you can chain block, you can special summon him if you control a Noble Arms card. He's an incredible extender. It's very important to open up with a card like this. Which is extremely relevant. It's very efficient for the simple fact that you have 6 copies, well 7 copies of it, being the Heritage and the Rhodas. It's a really important card to open up with, in my opinion, because your boards are way stronger if you can have a Cussinin in there. And then also we're maximizing on 3 copies of Brothers. So let's go ahead and move these up, right? So that way it just looks better on the camera. So yeah, now we're playing 3 copies of Brothers. So if you see these first 12 monsters, all 12 of these all start the combo. Cussinin can start the combo. Any Noble Knight, even if it's an irrelevant Noble Knight with an equip Cussinin in hand, that's the combo. Brothers can start the combo because if he's normal summon, you can special summon up to 2 Noble Knight monsters from hand. Even if you only have 1 extra in hand, that's Isold right there. Isold can get you really far because you can go for the Summon Sword play as long as you are not under the restriction of only Noble Knights that turn. And Brothers doesn't have that restriction also. Like, if you read Brothers, when he's normal summon and special summon, blah, 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 but cannot attack, but cannot special summon. Oh, yeah, my bad. I forgot. He does have that restriction. It's Boars that I'm thinking about. I'm sorry. Boars is the one. Boars is another card that doesn't put you under restriction. But Brothers is another way to start the combo. The combo is not as powerful if you can't go into Summon Sword. So if you start the combo with anything that's not Madral, you literally are under the restriction of Noble Knights, which is, it really sucks, man. It sucks that you can't do the Summon Sword play and that you can't end on generics like Abyss Dweller and stuff like that. But that's why it's really important to get your Madral. Madral is the best way to start the combo. Brothers also has an additional ability, which is Daigusto Emerald to target 3 in your grave, shuffle them, and draw. He recycles your Noble Arms and your Noble Knight monsters, and effects are not once per turn. So you can actually trigger them as many times as you need, and you can also put up a loop with them where you'll never run out of Brothers, and because you never run out of Brothers, you never run out of resources. And then I play 1 Boars. I'm a firm believer in the fact that you only need to resolve Boars 1 time. I feel you only need to resolve Boars 1 time. And if you need to resolve him a 2nd time, Brothers can bring him back from the graveyard into the main deck, and you can get him and prop his effect again. I do not believe that Boars is a good starter card by himself. He can't get you any extenders on field. He can send as many equips as you want. He can even send the trap, and the trap will give you a follow-up play the turn after it's sent. So Boars by itself doesn't do much, but it's important to summon Boars off Madral so you can get that extra increment of value, which actually contributes to the longevity of the plays that you can produce. So I still find that 1 Boars is fine. It's really good. It only sucks when you open with it and a Madral, and then your Madral has to summon something else, but that doesn't come up enough for me to want to play another Boars. I would never play 3 Boars because we're not playing Noble Knights how we used to back in the day. There's a lot of new support that you can play in the deck that makes it more functional and make it to where Boars is kind of like not as needed as it used to be, but it's still a really great card. And him being a normal and Madral being a normal matters because we play the Lancelin monster for the Summon Sword combo. And then I play one Dristan. You're normally triggering Dristan on your opponent's turn by using your Morgan to negate a card or effect that your opponent activates. Negate the activation, then you kill one of your equips. The equips re-equip the Dristan. Dristan can pop, so you get a negate in the pop. But if you can't do that with Morgan, you can also trigger Dristan by actually just using the Glory of the Noble Knights to equip something to him to get a pop on your opponent's turn. And if you can't summon him out turn 1, the Until Noble Arms are needed again can special him from the deck on your opponent's turn, which is really cool. So Dristan's a nice interaction. He has a protection from targeting for card effects and attacks for monsters that are whose attacks are less than 18, which basically if you look at all these Noble Knights, none of their attack is like 18 or higher. They're actually all lower than Dristan. Dristan's actually the biggest one, even Ivan 17. So Dristan will protect all of them except for himself, but that's fine because Dristan normally, once you use his effect, he's pretty expendable after that anyways. And then I play one copy of Noble Knight of Black Lancelin and one Noble Knight Iakachar, or Ector, if however you want to pronounce his name. But these cards are crazy good. They're like little dragon rollers. This one's better for me personally because you can extend more with him. And it's a lot more flexible in the sense that it generates more plays, and the summon that you commit to with it cannot be stopped. You can't negate, if you use him as a material for XYZ or Synchro, your opponent not only cannot negate the summon, but they can't activate cards or effects on summon. And that's perfect because your Noble Knight XYZs get their effects on summon. So if you summon an XYZ using him, they can't stop it. They can't stop the effect, and they can't stop the summon. So you're going to get the effect to resolve no matter what because he has that effect. It's amazing. And you can banish 2 Noble Knights from your grave to special him from hand or grave. And that effect is once per turn, but he's going to give you a flow every turn, which allows you to just keep grinding and making Isoldes under pressure and just in a pinch and a bind. Lancelin, what he does is you can special him by tributing a face-up normal light monster. You can special him from hand or grave by doing that. And your normal monsters are going to be Boars and Madral. So he can float, and then he can tribute a Noble Knight to search any Noble Arms card, which is not going to come up as much as you think, but when it comes up, it's actually so clutch that it wins games by itself sometimes. But what's important is these are part of your Summon Sorceress combo. You're going to be using both of these, and by doing this in the Summon Sorceress combo, you're literally giving yourself 2 follow-ups in the grave that are guaranteed going to make a rank 5, which is really cool. And I think what I want to do for my extra deck now, because it's been coming up so much, is I want to play Volcasaurus for time. It really helps if I get stuck in my main phase, and for some reason I can't use Gallatin. I'm sorry, not Gallatin, but the equip that lets me gain 500 life points. If for some reason I can't, then I need Volcasaurus to get that push. And the final monster that I play, besides the Morgan, is the one Gwynnefer. She counts as a Noble Arm, so you would include her in the spell count normally, but she's still a monster. She's a really good card too. Depending on whether it's light or dark, she gives it a bit additional protection and effects. And then we main deck the 3 Morgans. I find that since it's not searchable, I have to play 3. And me personally, I find that if a card can literally change the game state, I would never ever cut it down to 2 for the simple fact that there's no way that you can really see it outside the trap. And Morgan is part of your first turn interactions to protect you from hand traps. And also, it's the only interruption that you can play on your opponent's turn outside of generic hand traps like Ash Blossom, because your Noble Knights don't have quick effects. So it's really important to maximize on this. You could play 2 if you want, but I'm a firm believer in 3, and I never bricked on this card, not once. For our spells, we play 3 copies of Heritage of the Chalice. It's the searcher of the deck, and it can add itself from graveyard to hand. So you can grind with just one of it, and you don't ever have to see the other 2 for the rest of the duel. That's how good this card is. And it searches any Noble Arm or Noble Knight's monster. And then we play 3 Glory. Glory increases the amount of Noble Arms that you have. So this gives you 6 extra Noble Arms. It's important to see Noble Arms because if you don't see Noble Arms, you can't resolve Custon in the special, you can't resolve Madral, and you can't resolve Ivan. And that means that literally Merlin can't do much, and you have to rely solely on Brothers. And if Brothers get stopped, you have to pass turn. Now, normally, if you normal Brothers and they impermanence it, you can follow that up with a Glory and equip something to him, and then you can get Custon's effect. And Custon will then special summon from hand. And you normally don't want to just shotgun this and then equip him with something in the first place because you want them to waste that impermanence if they have it. That way they've thrown it away for no reason at all. And now you know that your Isolde is going to be able to resolve potentially. But 3 Glories, it's really good, especially on your opponent's turn. And then we have 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army. These are your consistency spells that get you extra copies of everything that you play in your deck. And then for our equips, we play 2 Excalibur. It protects your monster from being targeted by card effects, which is extremely meta relevant if I do say so myself. And that's an all the time effect. Like a lot of the other Noble Knights equips, like they'll have something that doesn't last as long, or it'll be like a once in a blue moon, or it's once every time. Like it will be destroyed, it doesn't get destroyed once, but the next time it does. This just says it just can't be targeted, period. And you can banish it from the grave to basically rank up on the XYZ you control. So it's a nutty equip spell that gives you follow-up plays as well. 2 Noble Arms. Every monster you make, if you're trying to sit on it or you're trying to go for a push or you just need to protect yourself, you want to make it to where it can't be targeted, and once returned, it can be destroyed by battle or card effects. So you basically have a pseudo Chaos Max Dragon-like protection. This card is really good, and if any of the Noble Arms equips get destroyed by card effect, you can just re-equip them from the grave to a warrior monster you control, and all those effects are once per turn. So if your opponent twins them, they can't just like, you won't be able to just keep re-equipping them if they twin them for a second time, but they do get to get themselves back that one interaction. 1 Gallatin to boost your monsters by 1,000. 1 Caliburn, your monster gets increased by 500 attack, and you can gain 500 life points. This is one of your ways that you can win if you get stuck in your main phase. Your combos are pretty long. Games can last pretty long because it's really hard to OTK when you're under the restriction of only Noble Knights because you can't go into Boar Sword. So sometimes you go into time and it's like, sometimes it can't be helped. And because I wasn't playing Volcasaurus before, I decided to incorporate the Caliburn because you could just gain 500 life points and win the duel in itself. Also, it comes up because you can actually put yourself up to 9,500 life points in one turn. You can equip it, gain 5, use Madrop, pop it, equip it to Boar, gain 5, use its effect again. Then when you re-equip it from grave with one of your Arturgus Kings, you get its effect to gain 5 again, because the only thing that's once per turn is the ability to re-equip it from grave. So you can actually gain 15 in one turn just by having it. And then we have 1 Arthur Theater. It can pop any set card, including set monsters, which is really cool. And you can actually use it more than once, which is actually a cool interaction. Clarent lets your monsters attack directly, which can come up for time as well. If their field's too big and you can't kill the monsters, you can just attack directly for game. We have 2 until Noble Arms are needed again. I decided to cut the card down to 2. It contributes to brick hands, and I really didn't like opening with too many of it or opening with it when it wasn't going to give me enough value when you only have like 1 equipped for you having to play through so many hand traps. But it does give you follow-ups in grave. You can banish it in special Noble Knight from deck. That's the best effect. And when you side in your hand traps, you can see your hand traps really efficiently because I side a lot of hand traps. And I'm one of those crazy Noble Knight players that actually thinks that Avalon is a good card. People say it's bad. This is the main reason why I even went undefeated. Like, nobody saw this coming at all. Nobody saw Avalon coming. Like, literally, nobody. In fact, the last person I used it on said, nobody even plays that card because it's bad. You just happen to get lucky. I was like, no, I didn't get lucky, dude. I set myself up for this. Like, I literally, my Summon Sorceress combo set me up for this turn 1. So it wasn't like I got lucky. Once I saw it in my hand, I set myself up for it. It's a great card. You can banish 5 Noble Knights from your graveyard, including at least 1 Arturgus monster and 1 Land Salad monster, and you destroy all cards on the field. Your equips, because they're equipped to the monster, it will not be destroyed that one time for Noble Arms, but Noble Arms will die and it'll re-equip, which is really cool. So yep, that's the main deck. Now for the extra deck, 2 copies of I Sold. God forbid we play her in the deck she actually belongs in, right? Like, that's a rare occasion when you actually see a card played in its archetype. But 2 copies of I Sold is all you need. You can recycle it, and it's just the best in its own deck. Really, it is. Summon Sort, for when you open Madral, you have 7 ways to get to Madral, and Madral's the best route for you to go so that you're not under any restrictions. Summon Sort is going to make your plays amazing. And then Borlord and Borsort to finish out the Link monsters. We don't play Unicorn or the Spot Removal Nightmares because Custodin can do what Unicorn does, and he can be better than Cerberus. In addition to that, instead of using Phoenix, the rank 4 King Arturgus can blow up more than 1 back row. So you have the removal that doesn't destroy, which would be Unicorn. You have that in the form of Custodin. The back row destruction from Phoenix, you can actually heavy stone your opponent, which is more effective. And if you're trying to clear a special summon monster off of Cerberus, you can either use Arturgus or just use Custodin instead. So the Nightmares aren't even good in this deck because you have removal that they have, but better, if that makes sense. We have 2 copies of Sacred King Arturgus, 2 copies of Baby Arturgus, and 2 Custodin. You can recycle these, but I felt it was safer to play 2 of each because you're not always going to see Brothers. So if you need to, if the second copy comes up and you haven't had Brothers to recycle the first, or Brothers gets negated, it's important to play at least 2 of each. So Custodin can detach any number of materials on him and bounce that many cards on the field back to the hand. That's great. This is your Brionic against Thunder Dragons, and that's how I beat them. Like, it was really easy because I don't need to search all the time. And when you open the combo, you don't even need to search for the combo. The combo doesn't require any searching. All it does is just make I sold, and you special summon from your deck, and you make Custonin, which is really cool. And if Custonin dies, he specials any of these from your extra deck, and then puts itself under it as a material, and it counts as an XYZ summon. So Custonin is one of your safer places to go to, and his spot removal is the best because it doesn't destroy. And then we have the OG King Artorias. If him and his bigger version get XYZ summoned, they can target up to 3 Noble Arm equip spells. Noble Arm cards in your grave with different names and equip them from your grave to them. He can also detach from his material from himself to destroy and equal up to as many. He can destroy spell traps on the field up to the number of Noble Arm cards that you currently control in your field. So if you control 3, you don't have to destroy 3. You can just destroy up to that many. So the minimum you're going to get is just 3 back row clears, and this is really strong against Sky Strikers and guys specifically, especially Strikers, because when this has Excalibur and equipped to it, they can't chain Widow Anchor because he can't be targeted. So you kill their back row and there's nothing they can do about it. And the same with Geist. They have to have Altergeist Protocol and they have to negate it, otherwise they just lose automatically. And when they negate it, it doesn't get destroyed because he has Noble Arms of Destiny on him. Which is really nuts. And then this guy does the same thing as him, except he can also pop monsters. And then if he's sent from the field to the grave, he specials a level 4 lower Noble Knight from your grave. So yeah, he's just nuts. Like their XYZs are really strong, you guys, and they're the best place to make. Then generics, I play Giant Hand, Tornado, Time Thief Redoer, and Abyss Dweller because none of the rank 4s for the Noble Knight archetype have interactions on my opponent's turn. Whenever I'm not under the restriction of Noble Knights, these are the best place to make because you can play on your opponent's turn, and that's one of the weaknesses of the Noble Knight strategy is they don't have monsters that can make plays on your opponent's turn. You just sit on monsters that have protection. So it's important to have cards like these. This is just so good, this format. Time Thief Redoer is nuts. Tornado is really good in specific matchups, and Giant Hand is like a nutty card. It's really good. Our side deck is 3 copies of Gamma and the Driver. Then we side 2 Ash, 2 Bell, and 2 Ogre. I really think Ogre's coming up this format. You guys pick up your Ogres now. Don't think that I'm lying to you. It's a really good card right now. And then 2 Impermanents. I sided a lot of hand traps because I just didn't want anybody to style on me. I don't want to sit here and watch a 30-minute turn, right? And I share that feeling with my boy JD. I agree with him on that. But I side the hand traps because I don't feel that every deck is going to be styling on you like that to the point where they just make a board that says you can't play. And what the really beautiful thing about these, having this many hand traps, is when you resolve until Noble Arms are needed again, you have a high chance of hitting a hand trap off of them. These specifically, you're always going to be able to activate, but with Gamma, you're going to need to control no monsters. This is really good going second. And then I cite the Evilings because it's one of the best going second side deck cards, like period, if not the best. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you're Noble Knight fans, I really hope you enjoyed this profile. I know I don't main hand traps, but I explained why. And if you like the list, let me know. If you hate me just because I play Avalon, it's okay, man. It's all right. I'm going to live and I'm going to see another day. But God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And you folks have a beautiful day, all right? Peace.